the 76ers have opened up trade talks for a potential trade with Ben Simmons. Maybe they find a suitor, maybe they don't. But the Sixers want an all-star caliber player in return for Simmons. I know you're very high on Simmons. You're under the assumption that, or you're under the belief that you don't want them to trade Simmons.
At this point, they're in win now. And he gives them, unless they're getting a player like Dame, he gives them the best chance right now to win now. And to trade him right now at his lowest value would be foolish. He's been an all-star multiple times in this league already. He's been an all-defensive player multiple times in this league already. He's made an all-NBA team already. And to give up on him at the age of 24 when he's had one hiccup in his moment, which, granted, that hiccup was extremely bad. I just don't understand trying to move him unless you're getting a player like Dame. If you're getting a player like Dame, I 100% understand. He's obviously the better ball player. Obviously, I'm going to take Ben defensively, but other than that, Dame has it in all other aspects. Dame's a little bit smaller than him, but Dame makes up for it, obviously, with his great playmaking, his scoring abilities. But other than that, I just can't see an option right now that would be an upgrade to Ben Simmons. So with that being said, looking into trade options for anything other than Dame makes no sense to me.
Can I ask you a question?
Let's hear it.
Is Ben Simmons a top 30 player in the NBA?
That's tough. I don't think so.
Is he top 35?
I feel like if anything, he cracks 35.
Okay, so for you to say, if it's not Dame, I don't think they should trade him when it's 35 players better
It's a
than
talented league.
It's a little wild. I mean, like, looking at Ben Simmons' game, he hasn't improved on offense in any aspect.
Correct.
He hasn't improved in his ball handling ability. He hasn't improved in his...
Does he really need to improve?
Can I finish?
Apologize.
Thank
but
you.
does he really need to improve?
He hasn't improved in his separation on defenders. He hasn't improved in his midi, his
Correct.
free throw, his
Correct.
three-point percentage. He's actually a little bit digressed as a defender, if we're being completely honest. He's not that one-on-one, lockdown all game type of guy that we thought he was. He's not even the best defender on his team. It's Matisse Thybulle, if we're being honestly realistic. And you're talking about if it's not Dame, it's nobody else, when in fact, you have to build your team around Joel Embiid. He's your superstar. He's the guy you have to build around. Ben Simmons doesn't fit. Seth Curry fits. Tobias Harris fits. Even Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, those guys fit. George Hill fits. Ben Simmons does not fit around Joel Embiid, and you have to find guys that fit around him. Now, I'm not going to say these guys are better, but like a player like a Zach, a CJ McCollum, guys who can score, shoot the ball, space the floor. Like, not saying those guys in particular, but guys like that. Those guys, even a Bradley Beal would be a great addition for Joel Embiid, a guy who can get a bucket, space the floor, give him the space. You got a guy who missed. He's just hasn't improved in any facet of the game since he's been in the league, and he has a lot of potential. But will he crack it in Philly? I don't think so. I don't think Philly's the place where he's going to crack his potential. He's honestly been worse in Philly, and Philly's a tough city as it is already. And coming off a loss where you were the #1 seed in the NBA this year, was dealt with a lot of injuries. This was your opportunity to go to the finals. You lost to Atlanta, where you blew multiple big leads, and you lost at home, Game 7. So I don't see the Ben Simmons hype anymore. He's 24 years old. He's been in the league for 5 years now. It's time to focus on Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a guy who gets hurt a lot. He's not going to be able to hold up for too much longer. So you got to kind of you have a short window. So I think Ben Simmons should definitely be traded.
Oversight. Bradley Beal, I would 100% do as well.
Even though the interest in Ben Simmons around people on social media has been insanely low, interest around the league has been robust, which means that teams are still very high on Simmons. They know that a star-level talent like Simmons at 24 years old doesn't come along very often, is not often in these trade talks. And the Sixers want an all-star caliber type of player. Obviously, names that come to mind are Dame, CJ, and that's pretty much it. You know, that's pretty much the list. There's not many all-star caliber players that I think are in the market for Ben Simmons or that the Sixers could get. But I have some names that are just a tick below an all-star. Those are Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield wouldn't be too bad in Philly. Maybe Ben Simmons. You could trade Simmons for Buddy Hield.
So your stock is low on Ben.
It is low.
Okay.
But maybe you could trade Ben Simmons and first-round picks for Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton maybe, or Harrison Barnes. Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, that wouldn't be too bad. Malcolm Brogdon also. We know Philly rejected their trade proposal of Brogdon and the first-round pick for Simmons. Maybe they weren't offering the 13th overall pick. Maybe if they offer that 13th overall pick, that changes the tune. A guy I was thinking also was Mike Conley. I think Mike Conley would be great in Philly.
Would that work for Utah, though? Have Ben and Gobert on the floor together?
That's the thing. I think for the Sixers to get Conley, it would be a sign and trade. Ben Simmons to Utah, Conley to Philly. I do think that Ben Simmons and Gobert could be a problem, but I also think that Utah recognizes that, okay, we are not a big market. We have to draft our stars. We have to sign players via free agency, and we're probably not going to sign stars because Utah's not an attractive destination. Our best chance to get a star/superstar level talent is via trade. Ben Simmons is 24 years old. If we get Simmons now, Gobert becomes expendable because we have our defensive anchor in Simmons. But I think even Simmons with Gobert can work because Utah has a bunch of shooters. They have 40% three-point shooters all around the court. Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, Bogdanovich, Jordan Clarkson off the bench. They have shooters. They're good in that area. And Ben Simmons now fills two voids for the Jazz. One of them being that you now have a small ball lineup with Ben Simmons. You can put Gobert off the court. You can put him off the court in these small ball situations and have Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, Bogdanovich, Clarkson, or Ingles, and Ben Simmons. And I also forgot to mention Ingles. He's a great shooter as well. And you fix your problem that now you have a perimeter defender who can actually lock up on the perimeter. Conley was an amazing defender. He's not Ben Simmons on defense. And now Philly gets a floor general point guard who can space the floor, who would be great in the pick and roll with Joel Embiid, and who's a very good defender. So I think that makes a lot of sense for Philly.
Who was the second guy? Mike
and
Conley
for Utah.
Mike Conley and who else? Or is it just Mike Conley for Ben Simmons?
Mike Conley for Ben Simmons straight up.
Okay.
Maybe a pick could be involved in that
the
trade.
30th pick, so.
But Mike Conley for Ben. And Mike Conley did make the All-Star game. He is an All-Star caliber point guard.
Do you think that makes Philly better as a whole?
At this point.
Yes, it does. It does make them better.
How so?
Because Conley is...
He won't miss up on a
Conley
dunk.
fits
But
better.
he'll miss time.
I mean, his time missed was the same as Ben Simmons playing, if I'm being honest.
That's mad foul, but funny at the same time.
Conley fits better next to Embiid, and right now, he is on the same level as Ben Simmons as a player. That's just a fact.
Might be a little better.
That's just a fact. Simmons, right now, we're just banking on his potential. We saw what Conley did for Utah this past season. They were the number one seed in the Western Conference. We know what Conley is. Conley has been one of the better point guards in the NBA.
He's consistent.
Underrated. He's consistent. He's going to show up. I also had another trade package. We talk about the Spurs and how they're trying to get rid of DeJounte Murray and Derek White.
This a lot, actually.
The Spurs need star talent because right now they don't have a star player. They could trade DeJounte Murray and Derek White for Ben Simmons. Philly gains a defender in DeJounte Murray who can take Ben Simmons' place in that. He's not a very good shooter, which is going to hurt them as well. Probably cause some of the same problems, but not as much because he will shoot and he's aggressive. And then Derek White shoots 35% from three, so he would be a good player off the bench for them. Derek White and DeJounte Murray for Ben Simmons wouldn't be too bad, and Spurs would get an all-star level talent in Simmons.
But do they compete for a championship at this point? This roster does not seem like one that could beat Brooklyn, that can beat Milwaukee.
Well, realistically, that roster that they just had, do you think they can beat Milwaukee or Brooklyn?
If Ben decides to be more aggressive, he gives me a lot more than what these other guys are giving me. I understand what you're saying with Conley. He's a way better shooter than he is. But if Ben can adopt Giannis's mentality, which who knows if he ever will, because Giannis is a one-of-a-kind that we've seen of recent memory that doesn't really shoot the ball necessarily good by any means, but is a head down, drive to the basket. I'm gonna finish this basketball whether you like it or not. If he can take this mentality and just start putting up shots more, if he puts up, I just want to see him put up 15 shots a game. That's not asking too much of him, especially what he's done in the past. He's just deferring to these other guys because he believes that they give them a better chance to win the game than he does, which is incorrect. Obviously, he's a 6'10 guard who's who's faster than a good majority of the players that he's going up against right now. And like I said, you're undervaluing him a lot. I mean, I understand the Conley thing. That's not the worst thing that I've ever heard, truthfully. But
it shouldn't.
No, it really isn't. I'm being honest. It really isn't the worst trade package I've heard. But at the same time, you're losing height, you're losing athleticism, you're losing that playmaking ability.
Yeah, but you get it back because Mike Conley.
Wait, for one, Conley is just as good as a playmaker as Ben Simmons.
Just as good as strong.
You think Ben Simmons is an elite playmaker?
You think he's God?
He's a real. Oh my God! Relax.
You think this man is like Messiah?
For one, let's get this straight. Ben Simmons will never adopt Giannis's mindset. That's for one. Ben Simmons is who he is. 18, 8, and 8 is his ceiling. He's not going to magically one day turn into a 25-point per game scorer. Julius Randle could do that, not Ben Simmons.
But when you have Tobias Harris, who's 20+, you have Embiid, who's 30+.
And now you're bringing another shooter.
Ben Simmons defers not because he thinks they give them a better chance to win. Ben Simmons defers because he's not confident in himself.
A little bit of both. I definitely...
And plus, Tobias and Embiid are better scorers than Simmons.
And listen, you will not hear an argument out of me for that. I've been preaching that all playoffs long. He defers because Tobias is the true number 2 and Embiid's the best scorer on the team. However, we have seen when Embiid's out, Ben take that responsibility upon himself.
When Embiid was out, Simmons averaged 18, 8, and 8.
Which is more than what he's actually averaging.
4 points more. So you're not getting an all NBA caliber player. You're still getting
you're at least
higher volume.
You're at least getting the player that you thought you were getting in an aggressive.
What about in the playoffs? Forget everything else.
And I'm with you.
It wasn't just one hiccup. He's had these before.
Not as significant as this. And
but against Boston, he wasn't good.
You're saying last year.
He was injured last year.
The year before when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Wasn't the year before when
Terry Rozier lit them up?
No, the year before it was.
It was.
No, that was the Raptors.
It was the year that Jason Tatum was a rookie.
And Kyrie and Hayward got hurt, and Terry Rozier lit Philly up.
So you're saying 2018?
I guess so.
It was 2018, yeah.
And against Toronto, he didn't play that good either.
Against Toronto, it was Jimmy Butler and Embiid who are the better scorers of the basketball.
That is very true.
That's obvious. And Tobias Harris was on that team too.
That is true. He don't look good on defense either.
But we're just saying Ben Simmons' track record in the playoffs has not been good. I'm just saying.
Offensively, yes, but we've seen him be the playmaker where he had 12 assists.
But you can get that with Mike Conley and scoring.
Mike Conley, minus size, gives Philly everything.
And you still have Matisse Thybulle, bro.
Everything is not true.
Yes, minus size. You don't get the rebounding with Conley or as good defense.
You don't really need that.
You still get very good defense from Conley. You get a floor spacer in Conley. You get a playmaker in Conley. You get a guy who.
But is that a championship caliber team?
It's not a championship caliber team without Ben Simmons. With Ben Simmons.
My point being is you have a win now squad. You're not winning now.
Philly gives themselves a better chance to win with Mike Conley than with Ben Simmons right now. Yes, they do. Absolutely.
But Kyle Lowry too.
At this point in time, you're undervaluing Ben right now. If you trade,
what he's shown us.
Mike Conley and him are on the same tier. That's not undervaluing him.
Mike Conley's a really good player. You're acting like he's not.
I'm not disrespecting Mike Conley. It's just that I've seen him get hurt when you need him most. At least
that has nothing to do with how he plays, though.
Okay, but that's still I take that into account when I'm trading someone who's 24 years old.
Why don't you take Ben Simmons' lack of offense into account? We're talking about.
I definitely do.
Philly getting better. You have to.
I definitely do. 100%. But when you have other scores,
you are giving up the size,
athleticism, playmaking abilities.
No, you're not giving up the playmaking because Mike Conley can playmake.
He definitely can, but not on Ben Simmons' level.
I don't think he needs to be playmaking on Ben Simmons' level.
Is giving up athleticism a bad thing?
If you're getting scoring.
Wait, hold up. When the Rockets traded Chris Paul to OKC for Westbrook, you could say the same thing. You could say what the Rockets gained in Westbrook in terms of the athleticism and the rebounding and all this other stuff is the same argument you're making that Philly's losing.
Say that one more time. You lost me for a second.
Houston gained rebounding and athleticism when they got Westbrook,
but they lost that floor general with Chris Paul.
And it was worse. It was much worse.
Okay.
And that's what we're saying. Mike Conley could possibly bring in what Chris Paul brought in for Houston. Not like at the same level.
It's just two different rosters at this point. You know, like the Rockets compared to the 76ers is two different rosters.
Mike Conley and Seth, if you put in Mike Conley with Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, George Hill, Joel Embiid, and them boys, and Shake Milton, those are all shooters.
Maxey, Thibault.
that can shoot the ball.
Thibault is
very
not a
good.
shooter.
But he's a great defender.
He's not a better defender than
He's a
Ben.
better
You said that
perimeter defender.
before,
He's a
and that
better
was
perimeter
cap.
defender than Ben Simmons.
What did Thibault really do against Atlanta?
He did better at
He did
guarding
better on
Trey
the on
than
ball
Ben
than
Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
But
Way
yeah, he
better.
did.
Way better
Like
is
way
strong.
better.
Is
His
strong.
He did better.
primary focus is defense.
Of
So
course,
he puts in all
has
that
to.
energy.
He has to.
So he's an elite defender.
I'm not saying he isn't. I'm saying Ben's better than he is.
He's more versatile. I don't think he's better. He's more versatile.
But doesn't that make him better?
No, because Bam's more versatile than Drew Holiday. But is he really a better defender than Drew Holiday? I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Versatility doesn't necessarily mean you're just a better defender. It just means your size helps you
Just
cover
how
more.
doing more on offense.
It's an interesting take.
Just how being more versatile is Westbrook more versatile than Curry? You can make an argument that he is. He's not better than Curry,